Hello, everybody. Long time no speak on the video. I hope you're well. I'm going to start making more videos again. Some might be guided meditations. I know a lot of you enjoyed those. And also, I'm going to start talking more about what I'm calling sort of responsible technology. As many of you who know me know, I've been working in the space of emerging technology for over 20 years. I got into the web in the early days. I got into blockchain in its relatively early days, and have been working with technology companies for a long time. I'm really observing kind of where we're going, what we're building, and also having had a personal development journey of 20 odd years, 20 plus years. I'm very fascinated by how we're creating a future which is going to involve technology, and how can we do that in a way that's responsible, but also empowering for us as humans, and also fulfilling for us as humans. So we end up living happy, fulfilled lives, and not well, what's the opposite of that? Disempowered lives, where we're kind of not really making the most of our brain capacity. We're not making the most of our humanity and our power. So I want to talk about two different things, Neuralink and Psych-K, that are two things that have come up for me recently. Psych-K is an amazing course, workshop, technique tool that I've learned recently, and Neuralink, as many of you will know, is Elon Musk's project, which he's just been introducing on videos, and I watched one of those just the other day. Both of them are connecting to the whole concept, or providing us with tools, technologies to unlock brain capacity. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about Neuralink. Really what I want this to be a stimulus to is, you to follow your own research and dig in deeper. But I want to just put these two things together, Neuralink and Psych-K, as examples of really where I feel this is a really good way of showing how I think the path to the future is going to be littered with empowering solutions and disempowering solutions. And I'm not saying that Neuralink is fully disempowering. I think one of the things, just to get into it, that Elon Musk was demonstrating was that basically the chips that will go into the brain, they're obviously small. They'll have these threads. They can connect into the cortex of the brain. And one of the uses that he's been talking about is how this is going to be able to help people to maybe re-switch on parts of the brain that have not been working properly. So people who've been in a disempowered state of their brain not fully functioning properly are going to potentially use Neuralink to actually help them to live more normal lives. And that will be, potentially really good for healing the brain, healing the body, and giving people their natural capacity to operate. That sounds great. Now, alongside that, and of course, the likes of Elon Musk will stand there and say, hey, it's all going to be optional, and this is going to be a choice for you. But I do get the sense that he's also talking about a more significant integration between the human brain and these technologies, and effectively it's going to be the idea of putting your head into the cloud. And one of the ways I want to describe how that might, we're going to go on this journey together, so I'm not going to come up with all the conclusions now. I have a skepticism about how empowering some of this is going to be, and I'll give you the example of how we can already spot the clues to this. We all know what it's like to own a smartphone. If you're watching this, you're probably using a smartphone, right? Now, we also know what it is to live with a smartphone and how addictive it can be. And how, some people talk about how things like Facebook, social media and smartphones, email, they're almost have a built-in addiction mechanism. I had a journey of literal working through a 12-step, healing myself from addiction, right? So I know what it's like to be an addict, and I know what it's like to have a smartphone, and I see the patterns. I see how difficult it can be to not check email, and I'm aware that there are things like little dopamine hits that we get whenever we check for email and we see that there's an email there. So we already know what it's like to have an experience of social media, what it's like to live in a Facebook environment. And we also know that a lot of what we're noticing about those experiences is that we go into maybe a trance state, maybe not really that happier state. It often creates this tendency for us to compare ourselves to others, which I know other people who've written books about happiness will say the last thing you want to do is compare yourself to other people if you want to be happy. It's very much about, yeah, we can compare ourselves with ourselves and build progress into our lives. But as soon as we start looking at what's happening in other people's lives, how happy they look in their holiday, we know that people are generally putting out a reality or representation of themselves that isn't really their real day-to-day existence. It's a very filtered state. I'm not judging it. It's all fine. I use Facebook and all the rest of it. It has its positive uses. But I think the point I want to make here is that, I walked down the street yesterday and I thought I was preparing for this video. I looked at the people in the street. There was 5 others and me. 4 of them were literally staring at their iPhones or their smartphones whilst being in the street. Now, okay, that's fine. They might be looking for where they're going and so on. But I think you'll find that now we're kind of becoming at the mercy of the smartphone. And my point, one of the big things that I as a coach talk about with people is, well, not all the time, but I'm very aware of the power of, for example, daydreaming. I'm certainly, a big one for meditation. What happens when we go into meditation? What happens when we go into daydreaming? We're certainly not we're not connected to technology. We're going into our innate fundamental technology. And, great things come from meditation. There's rafts and rafts of benefits that people know when you just actually give the mind permission to relax and switch off, do like a reboot, a Control-Alt-Delete. And so, what's happening when we are going into these environments, digital environments, I saw one of those 6 people, she looked so angry and upset when she was staring at her phone. We're not going into our innate capacity of, people will say, our natural state is happiness. Well, I know from my own experience, and we all do that, that isn't necessarily always the case. And we've got to work through a lot before we can get to that place. So, where is Neuralink taking us? It's an advanced version of getting us into a digital experience. And if what we currently are experiencing in a digital environment is actually already, we know, is taking us away from, real innate states, where we can find, what it's like. I'm talking about, our ability to hack our state, right, as a human. And we can't divorce that, in my opinion, from concepts of the soul as well, concepts of the higher self, concepts of intuition. The soul, intuition, and higher self are all, I think, very interwoven. And we start to just miss some of that when we go into these digital environments, and we get plugged into a particular way of working. So, I'm talking about responsibility and balance. Balance is the key, really, with all this stuff. Right, so that's Neuralink. I've got a bit of a hesitation as to where that's taking us. Fine, we'll talk about that more maybe in the future. Now, let me talk also about Psych-K, because Psych-K is something, I did a course recently. I've learned how to facilitate Psych-K. What is Psych-K? And I'll link to the founders. There's 2 key people who are evangelists about Psych-K. Rob Williams, who kind of put it together. He was pulling together other things, but he's really the instigator of Psych-K. Bruce Lipton, who's an ex-scientist, PhD, done a lot of stuff around biology and the brain. He wrote an amazing book called Biology of Belief. And these guys are putting together a technology, how to hack the brain, basically and unlock brain capacity. Now, I've done this course. It's really about helping us to create new habits and also to reduce and release stress. It's fundamentally it. But really, when the AI crew come along and they start talking about unlocking brain capacity, I'm now experiencing ways of unlocking brain capacity that do not involve chips and digital, I would call it digital invasion of my own inherent human empowered state. And so what Psych-K is it's a process. It's really quick and really easy, actually. The more I'm doing it, the more I'm getting able to practice it. And one of the things I've learned along my personal development journey has been, you know, I've learned from the greats. You know, we go off and we go into the self-help section of the bookshop, and, you know, Tony Robbins has been there. What's his name? The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle, you know, talks about the power of the present moment. Lots and lots of coaches that have gone before me I've learned from. And what do all of them say? You know, it's the power of the mind, the power, we have the secret, the power to create our own reality, law of attraction. Bashar's another one I've learned from. You can look him up. And what they've started to say is, you know, I would get my clients to say, okay, power of affirmations, say what you want to create. You know, I am strong, say it enough times and you'll be strong. Well, you know, we've all learned, a lot of us who've been on that journey, that actually something happens. Then you've got Greg Braden who say, well, what's really important is you've got to have a feeling state. When you say I'm strong, you've got to feel strong. You've got to feel the enjoyment of feeling the state of being strong. So I would do all of that. I'd listen to Abraham Hicks, get into the vortex, get into this wonderful state of, you know, experiencing what you want to experience in life, and it will become your reality because you'll be vibrating at that state. Well, one of the things that happens is it's great while we're doing that exercise, but when we're not doing that exercise, we're into all our default patterns. And what happens, and I know a lot of you out there can handle this kind of, I'm going to go into one extra level of detail. What Bruce Lipton is wonderful at talking about is, if we divide up our brain into two areas, we've got the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, front of the mind, the back of the mind. What's running when we're very alert and aware of stuff, and then what's running in the background. So 5% of our normal, what's creating our reality, is happening in the conscious mind. It's got a processor that can run at it can process 40 pieces of information at any second, any moment. Whereas the subconscious part of our mind is where actually we've got a much more powerful processor. It's being able to process 40 million pieces of information in the same time frame, 40 million. So it's 1 million times more powerful, basically, as a piece of our brain functioning than our conscious mind. And yet we live our day really in our conscious mind. When we're saying affirmations, I am strong, I am strong, we're saying that in the conscious mind. What if our subconscious mind has a belief that was programmed in? Apparently these programs are put in our brain up to the age of 7, and then show me the man at 7, you know, show me the boy at 7, you'll show me the man, is that well-known phrase. So what's happening is we might have a thought saying, I'm not strong, I'm weak. And as many times as our conscious mind is saying, I'm strong, I'm strong, I'm strong, if that subconscious belief is limiting, we ain't going to make it happen through the sheer power of willpower over and over in the conscious mind. So what Psych-K does is it enables us to access the supercomputer. Now imagine when I was talking about Neuralink, they would talk about that concept of, you know, you get to access full brain capacity. We can go in there, we can stick these threads in, and we can start to tell the brain to fire off in this way and that way. And they're going to, let's go on this journey together if you fancy it. Elon Musk is going to get bolder with time. These things go on a tiptoe effect. They don't like to give us everything in one bite. So they're going, in my opinion, from where I see this is heading, they're going to get people used to stuff. And he said, you know, it's going to take a long time before they really test this stuff out on humans, and then they start to get the regulations to, you know, actually get permission to do this stuff. But they're sowing seeds now, and they're going to promise us superpowers. Digital, technological superpowers. That's where the transhumanists, who are starting to get more and more public and more vocal, the guy Ray Kurzweil from Google is starting to be very open about this. I go to tech conferences and I'm starting to meet transhumanists who either are aware of that's really what they're up to, or they're believers in, they're evangelists in. No judgment. These are just paths that people are going on. I'm not going on the transhumanist path, and I want to alert people to the other alternatives, because, you know, I've been eating organic food rather than GMO. You know, that's just, you know, and Facebook have been banning, people have been talking about organic food for some reason, you know, in the spirit of censorship lately. So anyway, who knows whether this video will last the test of time or get to the people out there in a big way. Whatever. I just feel like I want to share this stuff. So you know, what I'm talking about with Psych-K is an ability to access a supercomputer and reprogram. These are real hacks of our own technology, and to be able to say to the fundamental subconscious, I'm strong, or I'm whatever I want. And imagine if we let that settle. I'm doing it, and I'm starting to see differences in my behavior, and then you know, ability to actually release the past, release old traumas and experiences from the past, release pressure that I feel from certain situations when people wind me up. Imagine being able to release all of that and then actually reprogram the mind to just be more chilled out around that person. Wow, forgive that person, let it go. And the amount of energy that gets liberated from that. I'm experiencing it. I'm only a few weeks into having done the course. I will probably talk more about it because I'm, you know, not in a way of over exaggerating, because it's something which still requires work from me to actually turn up and do the work, basically, and then have the patience to let it unfold. It's not all delivered everything I've asked it to yet, but it's working. And so my point in today's video was to demonstrate, it's really, I find, compelling and interesting that there are these paths ahead, and they both involve technology, but from different perspectives. You know, what I think, you know, we've definitely already got technology. We're technical, biological computers in a way already. So it's going to be fascinating, isn't it, as we go through this in the future. If you want to learn out more about Psych-K or Neuralink, I'm going to put some links underneath the video, so you can, I'm not worried about trying to censor the other side of the argument, unlike some people out there. So, you know, very much, I'll put the links to Psych-K information as well. And just to sow that seed as well, if you want to talk to me about actually doing some Psych-K sessions, I'm currently in the process of kind of working with some guinea pigs, so you might be able to get me at reduced or even no rates, particularly if you're a friend of mine and we can get together easily. I'm looking for people to just practice on and share this with friends and family, and then you know, increasingly in time, it's becoming woven into my coaching process, you know, that I take people on a journey of what do you want, you know, then the limiting beliefs come up, and then putting in the legwork to actually make those things happen. You know, obviously that's kind of what I help people through in whatever agendas they want to bring, whatever things that you might want to work on and bring into your life. But it's exciting times, and if you've watched this video, then look out for more if you like it. And as all the people on YouTube always say, you know, if you like this video, do like it. I think that will help to maybe cancel out some of the algorithms that will have detected whatever I've been saying, and maybe Google don't want you to necessarily get this information as much as they'll want Neuralink to be shoved down everybody's throats. I don't want to get too conspiracy theory about it right now, but a lot of you out there know what I'm talking about. All right, that's enough for today. Absolutely wish you all the best for your empowerment. As always, have an amazing day, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye.